In my 20 years of video production and filmmaking, I've seen so many trends come and go. And from personal experience, there's nothing worse than looking back at old work and seeing trends that aged like milk. So to save us all from future regrets, I want to break down what trends we need to leave behind in 2025. So number one, we all know that the bigger the matte box, the bigger the budget and the more we get paid, right? Jokes aside, I think in today's world, this trend is over. Everyone knows how good a mirrorless camera is. God damn it, people overestimate how good phones are in today's world. And I see people rigging up their cameras unnecessarily with these handles, monitors, and God knows what. And it kind of just makes the overall usability of the camera even worse. Over the last few years, I've made it a goal of mine to put minimal amount of things on the camera. Just keep it as simple as I possibly can to get the job done. And I can honestly say I don't think I'm ever going to change or go back from this mindset. Lightweight, nimble, and letting my skills and footage do the talking. So number two, I'm talking about 4K at 120 frames per second. The viewer does not care. I'm talking about 50 cropped versus 50 full frame. Guess what? The viewer does not care. None of these frame rates or resolutions will make your storytelling better. Most people's favourite TV shows and movies was shot on the original Arri Alexa with its 2.8K Super 35mm sensor. Not even full frame, not even 4K. I was personally guilty of this one because way too many creators chase specs, thinking it will add something to their video, to eventually get those specs and realise it adds absolutely nothing. And before you know it, you'll be onto the next frame rate or resolution that you need to improve your video, when all along none of them really mattered and the one you have right now is more than good enough. Let's just appreciate how good phones I've gotten. Apple ProRes RAW, the Blackmagic Cinema app, it's just insane. But what I do want to mention is the whole you only need your phone mindset I keep hearing, and I believe this is total BS. Seeing Hollywood movies being shot on iPhone because there's a couple $1 million worth of lenses, lights and grip equipment around it only proves one thing for me, and that is you need a couple $1 million to shoot Hollywood level visuals. And let's all be honest here, there's probably a healthy chunk of Apple's iPhone marketing budget gone in to that production to help them choose their camera sensor. I believe that if you want to be a professional video creator who's going to get hired for his services and skill, then you need at least a mirrorless camera. And before we go saying they're too expensive, instead of buying that latest iPhone Pro Max, why don't you go and get yourself a used mirrorless camera, probably including a lens, and then get the older iPhone X, what are all more than good enough, and still save yourself some money. Number four, now I know open gate shooting has only recently become really trendy, but the whole capturing open gate for vertical and 16:9 is kind of flawed, and for me it's almost a fix it in post-production mentality. And I know there's going to be people out there who are thinking that sometimes you can only capture it once and you need to deliver to both, but you'd be surprised how many situations if you just stopped and asked, can we shoot this twice, can we redo it, you would be allowed to get better footage. Or even better, why not just fully commit to whatever the deliverable of the project is going to be? If you know it is only going to Instagram, then just turn your camera sideways and shoot vertically. Shooting with the full center vertical is going to be so different than chopping just the center of the frame out. You're going to get different looking depth of field, different detail. Everything is just totally different. As much as the extra height helps with open gate, you are always going to get less quality than turning your camera sideways and getting the full length and width of that sensor. So let's make 2025 our goal to commit more and shoot for the delivery. Number five, I remember when gimbals first come out and it was just get your hands on a gimbal at all costs to try and get it into one of your projects. And what I seen after that was as gimbals become cheaper, more affordable, more accessible, and everyone started buying them, it was just a crazy overuse of gimbals. It was trying to force them into all projects at all costs. And I slightly, maybe not as bad, see us heading in the same direction for drones. They started off as this kind of shot that you could only achieve by getting a helicopter then expensive drones come out, and now they're getting cheaper and cheaper and more accessible, to the point where everyone has this naivete and novelty of the drones, where when they get their hands on one, it's ram them in all projects at all costs. Don't get me wrong though, I think drones are incredible. You can get some unbelievable shots and perspective from them. But I think in 2025, it should be the year that we start really deciding, does this really need a drone, and not just forcing it into the project for the sake of having one. Let's try and leave the drone at the studio, at the office, at home as much as possible. The next thing that you should be leaving in last year is not investing in yourself. As creatives, it is super important that we constantly work on growth. This year, I've personally made it my goal to work on productivity and find better ways to spread out and spend my time. Using the Productivity Masterclass over on Skillshare by Ali Abdul is the perfect place for me to do just that. Skillshare contains thousands of creative classes in countless categories. I love the film and video section, obviously, but I also spend lots of time in the production section and even now in the AI and innovation section. When I'm using Skillshare, you can tell it's designed by creatives for creatives, taught by industry experts who share their tools, techniques, and professional journeys with all the members. It's the largest online learning community for creatives. You can take a learn by doing approach where members can create and share projects after completing a class, getting feedback from the community on this on-demand platform with stackable lessons so members can learn at their own pace, no matter the level of skill. One of the biggest mistakes I see creative people making is not treating it like a muscle. Your creativity needs to be something that is trained just like your health and fitness, and there is honestly no better place to do that online than Skillshare. The first 500 people that use the link that Skillshare provided me in the top of this video description will receive a 1-month trial for absolutely free. So make sure to drop down there, be quick, and get started today. Number 6. Now I've got to swallow some humble pie for this next one. Seeker, who customise cars, lighting, cameras, all that sort of full frame black magic. I thought I was so cool holding the lav mic in my hand and speaking into it like those cool short form content creators. I thought it saved time and it was faster, but let's be totally honest, to clip it on takes no time at all. It looks visually better and it sounds better because you're not touching it and fiddling with it. And while we're talking about this subject, also clipping it onto your hat like those fitness people, that's got to go as well. What's wrong with us all? Number 7. We have all become quite obsessed with smooth footage, gimbals, IBIS, cine saddles and sacks, sliders, cranes, you name it. There is definitely a time and a place for smooth footage, but I think this year could be a great time to show some love to well done, skilled handheld. There is totally an art form to shooting handheld, amazing video. There's a big learning curve. The more you do it, the better you get. You have to pair the camera with the right lens and the right frame, with the right action in front of the camera. But when all these things come together, it really does produce some incredible footage. So for 2025, let's bring this back. Number 8. This is going to be a long and hard road to truly get rid of this one out the world of video creation. And I believe anyone who's been in this kind of industry for more than a decade or two has quite a good reason, because I was one of those people myself. I clear as day remember thinking that AF was for amateurs and manual focus was what professionals did. And probably at some point in the past, that statement probably had some truth to it, as AF used to be absolutely terrible. But the truth of the matter is, technology nowadays has just totally got rid of this as a fact. It is just not true anymore. Some of the most amazing, beautiful shots out there have been taken on some electronical glass using AF. We've even started seeing the merge between electronical glass and cine lenses come together. We've seen some of the biggest productions in the world using AF with the LiDAR system from DJI. So for 2025, let's leave the AF snobbery behind us. Number 9. And at some point in the past, this is another one that was 1000% true. But I believe now things have totally changed. We've seen the latest lights from aperture and nanlight, and it's not just about how powerful LED technology has got, it's about the quality of light. It's about the color accuracy we are starting to achieve from these high-end LEDs. I know there is a lot of DPs and gaffers out there who still love and use HMIs and some of the older sources, and they've spent years buying it, investing in it, and just perfecting how to bounce and dim that kind of light. So I totally get it, but I do believe that we are now at a point with technology and LED lights that it is just as powerful and just as good of a light quality. I do believe now that lights of aperture, nanlight and Arris LED light fixtures are just as good as traditional powered lights. Number 10. Now this one is built off pure hopium, but we have all seen an FX6, and let's be honest, stripped down with all the side handles, top handles, etc. It is not much bigger than a mirrorless camera. And now, last year, we've seen Canon with the C80 full frame camera with built-in ND filters being 20% bigger than most mirrorless cameras, 30 at max. And I know people say, well, it's IBIS in the FX3, or it's overheating putting the piece of glass in front of it, but we now have the Sony Bravano, which has a built-in variable ND filter with IBIS on a full frame 8.6K sensor. I think with how efficient we have seen chips get in recent years, we can really get over this heat issue we get from mirrorless cameras. And just thinking how close we did get with that C80, I think we are just around the corner. Now, if you found this video helpful, then I cannot wait to see what you think about the one I made about mistakes from the last 15 years of being in this industry. Watch that here.